All right, we are talking top tips to working or for working with family. So, welcome. My name is Stacy Tushel, and I have been working with family for quite a while. So, I actually grew up in a family business. We have a construction business that's over 50 years old. My grandfather started it. So, my grandparents worked together. My parents worked in that business. My uncle worked in the business. So trust me when I say I have seen family businesses my entire life. When I started my performing arts academy, I have owned those now for 19 years. My family didn't start, I should say my parents definitely were giving me advice and things like that. But my sisters actually, I hired my sisters. My mom actually is on staff very part-time doing some things. It's definitely a family business. My husband retired about 2 years ago, and he is now working with me in our businesses. So I've worked with lots of different type of family members, and we're going to talk about today how do you do this? How do you deal with it? And let me first tell you, it's not right for everybody, okay? I really want to make sure that I am not making this sound easy, okay? Working with family can be really fun, and it can be really, really miserable as well, okay? Now, I will say, there are some family members that I don't think working together would be a good idea, okay? I am sure you can think of someone in the family that you're thinking, I would never be able to work with them, right? And I want to make sure that as you are thinking or considering about bringing somebody on, you take this very seriously because it could ruin your relationship personally moving forward. Okay. So don't step into something that you know is never going to work if you already can tell this is going to be really bad. Right. Now, for those of you that are excited about somebody potentially coming in or you're already doing it, okay, let's talk about that. So next, I want to talk about learning to wear multiple hats. What does that mean? So, to have success, true success, you have to be able to say, we are at work. We are not behaving as family members right now. Okay. When you're at home, take off the work hat and just be talking about things you would talk about personally. Now, this is so hard for me now that Kent is in the business. Before, when he wasn't in it, I actually was pretty decent because he just didn't know a lot of what was going on. So, unless something was really serious, it wasn't like I was bringing a lot of work home. Now that he's in it with me, it's hard to draw the lines of when are we, and we work at home, right? So it's not even like, oh, we're in the building, so we can change. No, 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 we're working at home, and we're at home, right? So we really have to figure out how do we draw the line. So you have to ask yourself during the workday, if we're in the kitchen together, we'll talk work. But then when we are clocked out, kids are home, we do our best, and I'm not perfect, and I want to make sure you're aware because you might be feeling the guilt of we do this a lot still, right? So we do our best to make sure we limit those conversations. So you've got to learn to wear multiple hats. And I will tell you, I remember being in a meeting with my sister, who is the general manager of my studios. And she's my younger sister, but she works in the business way more than I do. So she has a lot of ownership of that business. So when I in a meeting and she has an idea, she might have a strong opinion, and we can sometimes butt heads. And it's okay to butt heads, but what you have to do is act as if it was any other employee having this discussion, not as in my little sister trying to tell me what to do, because it can happen. And all it does is make everybody else feel super, super uncomfortable. Okay, next. This is another big one that I think we've gotten pretty good at, but we weren't in the beginning. The reason we got better at this is because we separated the roles and responsibilities. We really understand the org chart, who is in charge of who, right? Who really has the final authority, the final say in this. So if you're butting heads, who's the final decision maker? Is that known? Have you discussed it? Okay. So separate your roles and responsibilities. And what I like to do is if you can separate it where this person is over here and they are the decision maker, right? They get some ownership, and then you are over here and you own something different. This way you both can feel as if you're winning, right? If there's one person who's always getting the final say, you can start to have some unresolved feelings, right? And you want to make sure that you're doing this really well and in a way that you can thrive both personally and professionally. Now, another thing, when Kent came into the business, the first thing I said was, I cannot be his manager. I cannot. He did not want to come in as like, obviously, he is a co owner, but he didn't want to come in as like a co CEO or something in that C suite, like a COO. He really just wanted to come in and start learning about this business. And because of that, he would have a manager. Somebody would be overseeing what he was doing. And I flat out said, we've got to make sure it's somebody else, right? So the less we can work together, the better it is. And I would say that was the same thing with my sister. The less we were working in the same thing on the same projects, the better it was when we owned separate things. Okay. Now, this is another big one I want you to really learn about. I want you to know and understand their personality type. We are so different from one another. It is crazy when you look at how the same, like two sisters from the same mom and dad, can be completely different, but we are. And my husband and I, opposites attract, right? So we're very, very different. I really want you to be thinking about, first of all, find out what is their personality type. I'd recommend taking the DISC profile, DISC, DISC profile. I'd recommend taking Myers Briggs. They're both very different, but it will really educate you on what makes them thrive, what makes them get panicky and stressed. How do they do with conflict? How do they do in high stress situations? Are they really driven, or are they more stable and they want to have security and they want things to be consistent and have a consistent routine? You need to know who you are working with, because if you put a family member in an uncomfortable situation and they feel very comfortable with you, they're going to let you know this isn't working out. What you want to make sure you're doing is knowing who they are and knowing where they will thrive. Setting them up to thrive is going to be so much better for your relationship than making them go into a different role or position where they naturally don't go to, right? So when you see somebody who's a high D, they are that action taker. They are driven. They are like really a quick start, right? Somebody who is more in the S is not going to like new ideas and new this and that. They're more stable, right? They like the consistency. They like the rhythms and routines. So the good news is you need all of the personalities on your business, in your business, right? So don't think, well, I'm a high D, but this person isn't. This means I'm no, there's no better, there's no worse. You need a combination of all of them. So make sure you're thinking about that. All right. So keep work at work. We talked about this a little bit. And I really want to just like one more time think about really separating those multiple, right? Wearing those multiple hats, not letting somebody else kind of allow you to break the true leader that you want to be, right? So that's tip number one, is keep work at work. The second tip I want to say, oh, and let me go back here. The reason I put this in here as a second slide is because sometimes other family members are feeling excluded, right? They're feeling like, I don't know what they're talking about, or all they talk about is work. So in my situation, right now, one of my sisters works in the business, the other one doesn't. If we were to all be sitting down together and two of us were talking about it, it's not a great experience for the third person, right? So keep work at work. Do not allow it to come into the dinner table when there's only a few of you and then you monopolize the conversation. Next, this is another big one. Pay as if they weren't family. Okay. Here is what I really want to make sure that you are grasping. Just because somebody is a family member does not mean they should be making the most amount of money in the company, that you should be paying them just like if this person would be somebody not from your family, right? So you pay for the position, you do not pay extra just for the family member, okay? And then last, I want you to find a third party for a conflict, and no, it should not be your mom, your grandma, right? Do not involve family members and put them in the middle. We were so bad at this. I am not kidding. It was like we were children going to mom saying, "Did you hear that Jamie did this today?" And I'm talking like grown 30-year-old women doing this like we were 14 and 13. It was sad. It was really sad. So, first of all, we would put her in an uncomfortable situation. She would of course agree or like, "Oh, I totally get it," to whoever is complaining. And then the sister would be like, "Well, mom agrees with me." And then I would go to mom and go like, "Mom, here's what really happened," right? We were literally acting like children. My mother was so uncomfortable. She was just agreeing with whoever was in the room because she didn't want to argue, right? She didn't want us to feel bad. And we realized we were just putting her in a very uncomfortable situation. So here's my big question is who could be your third party for a conflict? Maybe that's a coach you hire. Maybe you're in a mastermind and you're going to bring that question and whoever kind of is that unanimous decision without being biased and saying, "Well, this is my idea, so vote for this one," right? Get that outside opinion and don't allow it to be family members. Oh my goodness, I was not clicking the slides. Sorry. Pay as if they weren't family and then find a third party for a conflict. Okay. Now, yes, you can fire family. Okay. You can fire family. No, it is not fun. It is absolutely not fun. It is harder than anyone you will ever fire. But you need to do it in a respectful way. This can be a very, very hard conversation, but allowing a toxic relationship to continue in your business just because they're family and you feel like you can't fire them, trust me, it is negatively impacting both your personal and your professional life. It may be it may be a hard situation for a little bit. It may be a hard situation for a long time if the person's not ready to hear it or you handle it in not a great way. So do it out of love, do it in a respectful way, and put in real boundaries. They need to know there really are boundaries here. And you've got to make the decision for the business. You can't, and if you allow a family member to stay that shouldn't be there, you're going to get some of your A players to quit on you because they're not going to want to be like, "Well, yeah, her cousin still sitting here not doing anything," but right. No one wants to feel that. Okay, next. And then we're going to be bringing on some coaching clients. I'm going to be doing some open Q&A today. So I'm super excited. So stick around. Okay, next. Follow the rules, okay? Just like everybody else. Just like everybody else. This is one of those exceptions where people make them all the time. "Well, yes, we do this, but they don't have to. Like she's my sister, right? Or he's my dad, or he really just have policies and procedures set up and just say, please make sure that you're doing this just like everybody else, right? So if you have a place where they go and request off for vacation, have the family members do the same thing. A good business, right, will be tracking information like that. A strong business, I shouldn't say a strong business knows their numbers and they know all of their employee numbers. I want you tracking that for yourself as well. You should be tracking the CEO's vacation time. So please make sure that everybody is following the rules like everyone else. Don't make exceptions because what will happen is if you start to make exceptions to the rule, then there becomes very little boundaries, right? And now it's like, well, I don't do this and I don't do that. So does it matter? I really want you thinking about how do we keep a consistent policy for everyone? Okay. So to wrap up, should you work with family? I hope this gave you some more ideas to think through and consider before making the leap. I do work with family. I absolutely love it, but there was definitely some hard times before. I didn't even say this, but I'll go to the next slide real quick. Um, one of the things that my sister and I had to end up doing was we hired a therapist. We only went one time, but we just needed somebody to be that person to have go through that hard conversation together. And we never went back. But let me tell you, if we ever were in that situation again, I would do it. Now, with that said, I want to make sure you guys have a free resource because you're obviously looking, whether you're hiring family or you're not hiring family. If you haven't grabbed our 5-step framework for hiring A players, there's tons of bonus trainings in there as well, videos in there as well. You can go to stacytushel.com/perfect hire. Make sure to go to that link and you're going to be able to go grab that free checklist. Now, we're going to be moving on. We've got some special guests coming on. We're going to be doing some open Q&A. So I'm going to be bringing on Jennifer Knight first. Jennifer Knight. You know what? I'm guessing I'm getting the right person because they're both Jennifers, which is not, I can only see their first names. So I'm going to go and I'm going to see if we bring on the right person. Oh, hang on. Sorry. There we go. Jen. Oh, no, I did not. I'm going to pull you for 1 second. Okay. Okay. So Jen and Derek bringing you guys on. Hi. Can you hear me?
Hey,
Good morning.
Stacey.
How are you?
How
Good
perfect is
morning.
this? We are obviously a family that works together.
Yes. So how perfect is this? All right. Well, ask me any questions. We've got about 10 minutes together. Whatever you want to ask, just go for it.
Okay. So first of all, we are musicians and entrepreneurs. We're in the Napa Valley. We own a company called Ohm Coffee Roasters. So we roast our own coffee. And we in the Napa Valley, we are steeped in the foodie and Epicurean culture here, right? And what we noticed was when we started this company about 5 years ago is that the coffee was just kind of weak. The coffee game was not strong. So these Michelin-starred chefs would spend a ton of time on their menu and their wine list, but the coffee was sort of an afterthought. So we set out to change that. And I think locally we're doing a pretty good job of it. People are aware of us and all that stuff. But we have this product. So we sell coffee beans and we can ship anywhere in the US. We have a subscription model. It's completely customizable. So that's where my funnel comes in.
Okay.
And we want to just get this, we can sell nationwide, right? It's a red ocean because there's a million coffee companies. So we built the funnel to try to get new people in and aware of our company. And it's not converting. So we've been doing it for about 3 months. We've got paid ads. We have had only one person sign up as it's a lead gen funnel. So one person has given us their email and no conversions to sale.
Okay. Do you know how many people have seen the funnel?
It looks like according to Facebook, they've had about 430 link clicks from our paid ad.
For the most recent campaign.
Yeah.
But if you believe Facebook's numbers, because on the other
I
end, on
know.
ClickFunnels, it only
I
shows about
know.
100. So
Wow.
300 went somewhere else.
It's crazy. So, okay. So possibly only 100, depending on what we're looking at. So first, I am not a Facebook ads expert. So I don't want to say too much on Facebook ads, but I will say, have you tried, instead of link clicks, doing it for conversions, actually paying for the lead versus just the link clicks?
So what would we change the call to action?
Well, we changed the metric in Facebook and they're willing to pay a little bit more for it.
Yeah. Right? I know enough to be dangerous. And that was one thing I was like, ooh, I think I would attempt to test that instead, just to see. Because what's happening is you're getting people to click on the link. And that's probably what you said. We want link clicks. But what you really wanted was that email. You wanted that lead gen. And there is a way to do that in there. So I would try that. Now, here's what I want to dig into. What is the messaging in this funnel? What are they going for free? What are they getting?
They are getting a $10 off. So we have a 3-pack sampler.
Okay.
It's 3 6-ounce bags of our best-selling roasts, blends. So they're getting, when they sign up, when they give us their email, we send them a $10 off coupon.
With free shipping.
So it ends up being about 50% off. So it's a real screaming deal.
Okay.
Just to be introduced to our company.
Yes. Okay. Now, here is my first thought. I'm not a big coffee drinker, but I know people that are, and they're particular, right? They've got their brand.
Yeah.
They might not switch unless they had a reason to. So my thought is this might be a hard place to go right to buy this coffee, right? Without warming them up a little bit. This funnel could be a great funnel for people who now know you and love the brand and have been following you. So one of the things that comes to mind is, first of all, as we're recording this, it's, about to be a great holiday season coming and buying. So if you had some sort of article on your website of like 10 holiday gifts for coffee lovers, right?
Okay.
So how many people are going to be typing that in on Google and on Pinterest for the next few weeks? Imagine if you came up with a few different, I don't know what else you sell besides this, or maybe it's not your products. Maybe it's links to Amazon of other like cute coffee mugs and things like that. And then there you show this amazing coffee, why it's different, why people would like it. A great, you could say like a great holiday gift for, somebody looking to try something new or whatever you want to say there. But it could be something where somebody like me who doesn't drink coffee, but my husband does, I might go, oh, perfect for coffee lovers. I'll buy it. I don't know that he has his brand and that's what he drinks. And right. So you might
Yep.
get
Yeah.
people that buy that for mom or grandma or, father-in-law, things like that.
So and there's another element we've done to, again, try to cut through the red ocean a
Yeah.
little bit, is that I'm a guitar player.
Okay.
Ohm is the amplified reference. It refers to guitar cabinets. All of our blends are named after guitar amplifiers that have a specific sound and character to them.
Oh, cool.
And the coffee roughly matches that character.
I love
So
it.
the Facebook ads we've done have been geared towards guitarists specifically, who
Oh,
would
interesting.
recognize that, a full stack amplifier is different from a tweed amplifier.
Okay.
And we've our first campaign we've done in major music markets. So we've done Nashville, Memphis, and Austin to begin with.
Okay. I actually really like that idea. What I would do too is you can have a funnel and clone it. So you could be testing more generic, just people that like coffee versus the music to see if there's any difference and to see which one outdoes it. But I actually like that idea a lot. I think this is going to be one of those brands that's very centered around community and a movement, right? So I think the more you can continue to play into that, the better, because when people like something, now they want to keep trying other things that company has, right?
Yep.
So is there any other free offer, resources, anything else you do right now? Or is it strictly basically just sending them to that $10 off?
Right now it's that. We are in a band together. We
Okay.
actually have our second single releases today.
Oh,
So we do have
congrats.
this album. Thank you. This album that's coming out. So we've
Okay.
been talking about, are there ways that we could give away, a free download or advance access to the album, or tie in the music to the brand, which kind of reinforces both.
So I like this. I would treat these still as two businesses, and I would act like we're collaborations and partners. So certain things I would like tag each other and partner with each other. I assume you have like different social handles and things like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So I would continue to think, where could I collaborate with this other company at certain times a year, but still have its own standalone brand, or it may get confusing. Like, well, I'm not a musician, so this coffee wouldn't make sense for me.
Right. Well, but to answer your question in another way is we do a lot of education on our socials. So we
Okay.
do a lot of videos, quick videos, like how do you grind your coffee for your brew method? What roasters or what, just tips and tricks to get the greatest coffee, to get coffee shop coffee in your home.
Yeah. And something with this too, how do you get them to experience or sample the coffee?
Yeah.
And that's where that 3-pack sampler, that's where we were thinking, it's sort of a low risk.
Try them. Yeah. Because
We
how
sort
much?
of do it below cost, and then actually in the funnel, we do a series of videos where I'm there with a guitar and I play, a full stack sounding riff and talk about the full stack blend and how the two, so you can
I love
actually
it.
get the next best thing to actually sampling the coffee.
That's probably your best bet when it's such a red ocean. You're creating something very different. So I think continue to lean into that. Just don't exclude people that aren't into music, that might still just be into coffee and think it's cool as well. So what I would do is, because if you first, I would split test the funnel to confirm that you've done the right type of Facebook ad. It could just be a matter of that. Okay. I would definitely come up with some sort of holiday favorite, like, gift guide for coffee lovers. Please, please, please. That will be amazing for you. And then in there, have your sampler, have your bestseller, whatever you want to do there as well. And then from there, I would really look at the next like 3 to 6 months of what are other angles we can take, or you're testing messaging in the market, right? So whether you're looking at morning routine type articles or anything to get people excited about, like, where would coffee fall in? So I'm thinking of different places like that. Holidays, 100%. January, you're getting all these people on these new kicks, right? How do we get them into a new routine, but you're part of that routine, right? So anything you can do to keep educating your audience, I think is going to be the best way to test and figure out what lands. When something lands, you'll think, oh, amazing. Now what? No. Go back to what just landed. Yeah. Because it's crazy. You're like, yes, it worked. Okay, now what should we do? And it's like, no, you found the thing. So keep testing, keep throwing things out there. And as soon as you find it, stay there.
Okay.
Great.
Good.
All right.
Thank you.
Where can they go find your coffee? Like, where can they go buy it and share your info?
Ohmcoffee.com, OHM, like Ohm's law of electric,
Yep.
ohmcoffee.com. We've
Love
got
it.
subscriptions, a la carte ads, all of it.
Amazing. All right, Jen, Derek, thank you so much for jumping on. I wish you guys so much luck. Congrats on your single dropping today as well. How fun.
Thanks.
Thank
All
you,
right, bye,
Stacey.
guys.
All right,
Have a
take
great
care.
day.
All right, we have one more coaching call coming up. Jen, another Jen, bringing you on. Hi, Jen.
Hey, Stacey, how are you? Thanks for
Good.
having me
How are
on.
you?
Thanks.
All right, tell us what your business is and then jump into any questions you have.
Sure. So I launched a podcast, Investor Mama, about a year ago. It's been growing. I've had amazing guests on. I'm now over 5,000 downloads with about 39 episodes. I did a course, a money mindset course. It went really well. And planning a get out of debt course.
Okay.
To kind of put a pause on the business for a little bit because I've been doing real estate as a realtor.
Okay.
So I kind of did put everything on hold. I was a bottleneck. I finally just hired an editor and I hired a social media content person. I got like a package deal. I'm testing them out.
Okay.
We haven't like done anything yet, but I guess like now I'm ready to go back in. Like the podcast I've been doing consistent.
Okay, great.
In the business is just like totally fallen through the cracks, and I had the Funnel Gorgeous set up, and even that like the link's not working, and I just feel like I've been at like such this like mental block to like get back into the actual business, especially when I'm limited on time. So yeah, I have a fun.
What is your question for me? Are you asking how to get back into it or how to revive it?
Yeah, that, and also like now that I have hired people out, I want to make sure they're doing well.
Okay.
Listening to a lot of your content, and I know you talk so much about this. I guess now I'm actually in it, it's like very different than when you're listening before you have someone.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So let's talk about really going all in and kind of reviving what you had, right? And really expanding upon it. Let me ask you, are you still in real estate? Is it still going to be like a side?
It's going to be a really heavy year. I've already prepared. That's why now that I'm making some money, I don't mind hiring more people to get the business. But I'm not being as available.
Got it. Let me ask you this, and whatever I go too far on, you don't have to answer. I'm only trying to help, so I want to dig. Why both? And which one is the one you want to do long term?
That's the problem. I don't know. I mean, I love Investor Mama as my personal, like that's my, heart.
Yeah.
Real estate, it's just like really good money right now.
Okay.
It's kind of like supporting.
Yeah. Okay.
Money right now. So yeah.
Totally great answer. So here's what I would say. So real estate is, if Investor Mama started to make way more money than real estate, would you let real estate go?
Probably, yeah. I went a little bit, but not as much as I'm like really crazy right now.
Okay. Right. Because we get it. Like this is definitely, people are buying, we understand, and selling. So what I will say is one thing at a time will always get you there faster. Doing two things, you only have so much time and energy to put into both places. So just know that by holding on to the second one, you are always slowing down the other thing. Okay. So if real estate really is just your moneymaker right now, look at that as your day job. Okay.
Yeah.
You've got your day job and it is funding Investor Mama, which is your side hustle, but we want it to become your full-time everything. Okay. So the only way that here's where it gets hard. The only way that happens is if you put in time and energy. However, if real estate keeps pulling you back, it's going to actually hurt your real estate, right? Because you are getting sucked in a little bit to go over there. So it will hurt real estate. And then you'll never really have it take off because the real estate's pulling you back in. So they actually just start hurting each other. So there are a couple options. Option one is really pausing from Investor Mama and going all in on real estate and just going forward. Now, second option is going only dedicate this much time to real estate and then really committing the other portion of time to Investor Mama and making that be where you're really all in, even though you're probably spending more time in the real estate business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess I've also, what's held me back from Investor Mama a little bit is that I haven't been finding as much joy in the courses that I've been doing, and I'd rather have that more automated. But I really love the podcast, and I love meeting people, and I love talking to people and things like that. So
Okay.
figuring out a way to make Investor Mama more automated, so I can do the part of Investor Mama that I really love doing.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. So, and with real estate, do you have a team or is it just you pretty much doing everything?
No, I have a huge team, but that's why I'm literally all over the state of New Jersey, nonstop.
Okay. So, how much of what you do is selling houses and how much of what you do is building up the team and leading?
Most of it is me as a buyer's agent. It's just I get a lead and it's going out and getting them to but it's usually nights and weekends are really where real estate is big.
Got it. So, Investor Mama can be during the day.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Makes sense. So if you want to keep pouring into Investor Mama and you want to be able to track and check out the new hires you just made, first of all, are they people that you've hired from an agency where they should know what they're doing and they should know metrics, or are you training them?
So it's interesting. I met them through another podcaster.
Okay.
And starting a business themselves because they love my mission. And so we're kind of working together.
Okay.
So the content creator has experience on her full-time job, but I honestly don't know. I mean, I got such a good deal. It was I had it.
Okay, but hang on. Okay, you got such a good deal, but it sounds like it's the blind leading the blind.
It could
Is
be.
it?
Oh no, that's the problem.
Okay. Yeah, and that's a dangerous problem because it could be costing you way more than you think, right? So what I would say is I would be investing in some sort of training or something where you're getting this is what you need to do every day. They need guidelines, they need frameworks, and either they need to present that to you. You need to say, I want to know what you're doing, or I want to see what you're doing, or you need to say, this is what you need to be doing. Those are the only two options there.
Okay. Well, we're
Okay.
supposed to have all next week. They just made the pitch to me. We did an assessment of my current content, and then she's going to present to me what she thinks we need. And
Okay.
the thing is, the editor works with her, so I'll be able to automate my content more.
Okay.
She'll be knowing what's the podcast and all that kind of stuff out.
Okay. And where does the monetization strategy come into play with them? Are they writing content to sell? Are they just writing content to get you a blog a week? What are they doing?
So my goal is to expand my audience, so eventually I could do ads and stuff like that. And then also eventually, when I do have my products that I'm really ready to go on, right now just the coaching, I know I don't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
So
you want podcast ads, or what were you saying?
ads on the podcast,
Okay.
or getting things like that to start.
Okay. I will tell you, podcast ads, unless you're getting millions of downloads a month, it is not lucrative.
Okay.
People that pitch me to come on the podcast as an ad, it's just not enough money. And unfortunately, I'm not big enough for them to supply a big enough amount of money. And we have millions of downloads.
Gotcha.
So yes. So I want to tell you this now because I don't want you trying to get there. And then you're like, oh, and they want to they'll be like, we'll pay you $100 an episode. And you're like, great. And then here's the nightmare is they'll make you rewrite that thing or re-say it 3 or 4 different times or change it next week. And you're like, this isn't even worth my time, right? That's what will happen. So we keep our ads for ourselves. We can make way more than $100 an episode by putting something on our podcast and driving traffic back to our funnels. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So I would actually keep growing your numbers, but keep the ads to you. Okay.
Sure.
Unless you might get an amazing deal. Somebody gets you an amazing amount, right? Take it. But that's not always the case. So just be really careful and don't get excited about $100 an episode. Because by the time you're done doing the work, you're going to go, this was not worth it.
Gotcha.
Okay. So you weren't excited about the courses. Were they manual? Were you delivering them manually?
Yeah, it was really just because of my time. To do a live course is just very time consuming. So.
Okay. So can you automate it? Can you do a DIY course?
I think so. And I have I told, because my friends keep asking me, they want me to do this course. So I'm gonna do something, I think, next week. But I told them it's not gonna be like an official like structure. Like, I'll charge you this much.
Yeah.
Just like it's gonna be kind of like on the whim of when I have time. But I will get you from here to here, and this is like the process that we're gonna go through. It's just more of, and they were
Yeah.
totally that. So
Okay. Yeah. And like for the first kind of couple rounds as you do it, that's great. What I would do is I would figure out how to get something DIY, lower ticket, where you can talk about it on the podcast and get people to buy right there.
okay,
You love the podcast. It sounds like it's your passion. So I'm cool with you keeping that on your plate. And if you could get this DIY course going,
yeah,
it could start to monetize. And then as you start to build that list up, build up the people buying the course, now all
okay,
of a sudden they'll be asking for the next level. And at some point, you'll be able to see more potential over in this business than maybe in the real estate.
yeah. I think that's what it is, because I really do love Investor Mama. It's just
Yeah.
it was so much time committed, and I didn't have it right now, especially with kids and stuff too. It's just
Yeah,
like
absolutely. Um, Going back to your new hires, it was social media and blog writing.
no, social media and editor for the podcast episodes.
Got it, got it, got it. Okay. So they're gonna be promoting the podcast, basically, like, they'll be helping you do that.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
and my infrastructure, my content. So because I have
Yeah.
all the, and I'm terrible at getting it out.
Okay, so what I would start to do is I would definitely have them give you a weekly report,
Okay.
okay? I would want them, if they're gonna do your social media, I would want a weekly social media report to see what has been going down on our social media. Is engagement up? Is engagement down? I would want to see the consistent numbers every single week. What is happening? Now, numbers could go down in 1 week. That does not mean they did an awful job, right? Keep it consistently and just know that over time, you should be seeing consistent growth. But my point is, it's not like a straight line. They might
Yeah,
go like here and then down and then up and then down, right? So allow that to happen, because as the algorithms change, they're kind of figuring it out too. But you want to see numbers increase. But what you really want to see is that your social media is feeding your podcast. So I would be checking your weekly podcast downloads as well to see that is the correlation between the social media and the podcast working. Now, here's the deal. If your social media is growing, but it's not growing the podcast, if you're not selling from social media, it's really a waste of time.
yeah.
Okay.
Do you think, given like now that you know a little bit more of my background,
Yeah.
that my strategy is okay right now of like, because I don't have that ticket item yet, just building so that when I do have it, I have somewhere to like go essentially.
Yeah. What was the price of the course you did before?
So I did a money mindset course that was $27, and then I'm gonna do a get out of debt course for like $200. Or like,
Okay. So, and what do you think is the most popular? Like, you haven't sold the other one yet, but were you getting requests for the get out of debt?
yeah,
Okay.
the people who did the money mindset were like, Jen, I need to get out of debt. Like, help me.
Okay. Okay. Got
Yeah.
it. So it might be a great place to start. So I would look at, how does the podcast start to sell that course?
Okay.
Okay. And you could do some sort of launch where you say, listen, it's going to be a 6-week course. I'm going to do it live for the first 6 weeks, but then after that, it's going to be DIY, and get people to jump in now. I love doing brand new courses live because I love hearing questions.
Yeah.
So you could do it one time, give them the 6 dates that you're going to do it. And then after those 6 weeks are over, now you've got the funnel sitting there. And on the podcast, you can say, if you're loving the Investor Mama podcast, you're going to love our Get Out of Debt course. Like,
Yeah.
go over here.
Do you think $200 is too much for a get out of debt course?
Well, I would definitely do market research on who are your competitors and what are they selling.
Okay.
Okay. I would look at what is kind of a SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis is finding the strengths, the weakness, the opportunities, and the threats.
Mhm.
You do it on yourself, and then you do it to your biggest competitors. So what is Investor Mama's strength? What is the weakness of it right now? What is their opportunity? And then what is their threat? And then when you go to the other side, you go to the competitor and you judge them from the outside and you say, okay, their strengths are they're a massive name, they're super well known, right? All the things. A weakness, well, they're so big that they're not able to get personal instruction anymore or something like that, right?
Yeah.
What is their opportunity? Well, they're really turning into a market leader and could really go to the top. Their threat, they're getting so big that, you know what I'm saying? You can start to go
Yeah.
and judge that. And then what happens is you look at these competitors and you say, not how do I become better or cheaper? The worst thing you could ask, you say, how do we become different? So if you just saw Jen and Derek talk about different kind of coffee, right?
Yeah.
Very, very different. That's what we need to find for you.
Okay. And I think it's that my unique niche is doing it with kids.
Okay. Yeah. And that's who you can really talk to and make sure you're bringing that up and that your social is showing that,
Yeah.
showing your personal life a little bit or showing family, family time on the weekend to show that you can really do it and do it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jen, anything else? Any other last minute questions?
No, I think that was super, super helpful. Oh, actually, one quick thing. If
Yeah.
you have anyone like for Funnel Gorgeous, because that's also where I've been stumped because I love it, but it's just complicated from the tech side.
Like to get somebody to build a funnel?
No, not even building the funnel. It's just like getting the email servers up and just getting the actual logistical.
Yeah, I would still consider that building the funnel. Anybody who can build funnels will know how to do that inside stuff, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I would do is just reach out to any one of us at Foot Traffic Formula and we can give you some people we recommend.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Jen, where can people go find Investor Mama, your social, anything like that?
InvestorMama.com and Investor Mama on all major Apple, Spotify,
Cool.
Pandora. So
Amazing. All right, Jen. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. So excited for you. And I can't wait to see where Investor Mama goes.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Jen. All right. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you jumped on a little bit later, we dove in the beginning how to work with family, and that can be super, super tricky. So I hope that you got some more clarity on it and it helps you make decisions moving forward. Maybe you already had some people on the team that were family members and you know what you need to do moving forward. So thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.